am thrilled today's guest. I am a big fan, Mike Tirico from Bayside High School. We're going to talk about that in a little minute. He is, of course, the voice of all things NBC Sports. He's the host of the 13 years running NFL Sunday Night Football #1 primetime show by a lot. We got the Kentucky Derby coming up that he's going to be hosting. We, of course, got the Olympics from Paris for the 4th time. He'll be the primetime host. We've got a lot to talk about. Very interesting closing and opening ceremonies this year. Golf, everything. Mike Tirico, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Big fan.
Donny, big fan as well. It's good to be with you. Good to be with a fellow Queens guy as well. You can't beat that.
Let's talk about Bayside High School, man. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a Martin Van Buren guy. We're about 5 miles apart. Tell me about Bayside High School. Growing up, big football program there.
Great football program when I was growing up. The Harmon brothers were the big stars.
Yes. Ronnie Harmon. Who was the other one?
Kevin played quarterback at Iowa. Ronnie ended up playing in the Super Bowl with the 49ers. And I remember I was at a Super Bowl gathering. I don't think there were parties back then. And Ronnie caught the opening kickoff. Like, that guy went to my high school. And then he fumbled the opening kickoff. So I kind of checked out on that after that.
What street? What was your address growing up?
So I grew up on 20th Road, right off of Clintonville Street. In Whitestone. We were right on the border of Bayside High School and Flushing High School. Okay. And ended up going to Bayside.
I was a 212th Street, 85th Avenue guy. And so not too far before. And are you a Newhouse guy also, or just a basic Syracuse guy?
No, Syracuse, Newhouse guy. I went to Newhouse at Syracuse University because of Marv Albert and Bob Costas, Dick Stockton, Marty Glickman, who my elder generation listened to, calling the Knicks, and I heard Marty do some of that. When I knew I wanted to be a sportscaster, I wanted to go to Syracuse. Ended up there, worked there in local TV, which we can discuss after this. But I love the school, have stayed involved. I'm on the board of trustees for the university, involved in the communication school. It's still a massive part of my life.
And how much do you pinch yourself that you kind of followed in Costas' footsteps? Obviously, he was had to be one of your heroes growing up.
Oh, he was. And the nice part, yes, pinch yourself, of course. You know, you're doing jobs in hosting the Olympics in primetime and Sunday Night Football. You're doing jobs that you didn't even bother to dream about. Like, if you're dreaming about that, you just, like, wake up. This is never going to happen. It's not reality. So that's a big part of it. But then to have had the opportunity to meet Bob in college, Bob had a scholarship in college, and I was able to be the first recipient of that, therefore got to meet him, which started a decades-long relationship that we'll still text at least a couple of times a month back and forth now. Bob's been a great supporter. He's been a great model for all of us, set a standard in so many ways for what we do on the Olympics that it is a dream come true, that you can meet the people you idolize and end up working with them and then following them in their job.
You have a great style, and your style that you're very proud to talk about is that you don't have a style, that you don't want to be part of the story. Yeah. You don't have signature shtick, for lack, and I don't mean guys who have it, it's great.
Absolutely.
But that you've been very conscious to be the guy bringing it to you, but not in any way being part of the story.
Yeah, you know, Donny, and you live in the brand space, and I love the brand space. And how do we create brands, and how do we make brands grow and connect with audience and all of that? And I've always found more comfort being part of a brand and not the brand myself.
Interesting way of putting it.
I have opinions. You know, if you wanted to sit here and do an hour like Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless or those talk show guys, I can sit here and passionately debate you until we're blue in the face. Like you in New York for many years. I listened to Mike Francesa and Chris Russo, to Mike and the Mad Dog. I did some sports talk radio at ESPN for a while and enjoy the media, love the medium, listen all the time. But it's just not me. Yeah. I think I'm a political science major in school in addition to broadcast journalism. And I lived in a world at a time of Tip O'Neill when you could have healthy debate and you could find common ground, which we've completely lost, not just politically, but societally. And even in sports, if you say something bad about the Jets, you're a hater. No, I'm just kind of pointing out a fact that the way I see it. But for me personally, I want you to come and enjoy the event. I'd like to be a source of credibility, a voice who can be reasoned when voices are elevated. So when the moment happens, I'm trying to be as fair as possible. My audience, Donny, our audience for Sunday Night Football, it's the home team, it's the road team fans, It's the fans who have their fantasy game coming down to this one game on Sunday night. It's the people who've watched all day and want to just enjoy a football game and not be passionately connected. It's the people who are watching with the sports fans. So I love the fact that our audience is multifaceted, and we've got to connect with them. And that just drives me to how I like to do this job professionally.
You know, you talk about how polarized we are. I think one of the great things about football, it's one of the few places we all kind of get together. I mean, it's not a blue state, it's not a red state,
Right.
It's not straight, it's not gay, it's not black, it's not white, it's everybody. I mean, it's still the ultimate town hall meeting, if you will.
No doubt, Donnie. That's my that's a little bit of my elevator pitch with people who don't get sports. I'll tell them, let's go to MetLife Stadium. Let's go pick out section 318, right? And let's go through that section.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to check a lot of the boxes on a census form that you just ran through. And that's not very true if you go to a movie or to a concert at the Garden or to the Met, right? There's a lot of people who end up classifying, whether it's by race or socioeconomics or economics, they run in the same neighborhood on a regular basis and the same crowd. Sports broadens that out. You can have a 10-year-old kid who wants to be the next Aaron Rodgers, and you can have an 82-year-old guy who saw Al Woodall and Joe Namath and all the old Jets back in the day, right?
Number 18, Al Woodall.
You got it. That's it. You know, so you can have those people who would never come together otherwise come together over what's in front of them. That's what's cool about sports. It's what I still love about it. And it gives me some hope that we can get back to that in our country at some point.
I think we will. I think I know you're not here to talk politics. I think the pendulum. I think what happened with Mike Johnson and you know, just kind of passing that bill as a Republican and bringing both sides together. That's what people want. At the end of the day, you know what? I go around this country and I talk to people, and I'm obviously talking politics on TV. 90% of us, when I disagree with someone, I'll say to them, if you and I sat and talked, we probably agree on 90% of things. Correct. And it's unfortunately the media echo chamber just kind of talks from both extremes, where in reality, most of us are not that different.
Donnie, how do we not have voices in politics that can represent that? That's the frustrating part, right?
Yeah.
You know, we don't hear those voices because you almost cannot get elected unless you're so far on the right or so far on the left.
That's part of the problem. That's the primary system, unfortunately. That's the problem. That's the problem. It doesn't give us what the mass public really wants.
Right. And I hear this all the time from people about politics in general and just about our country. Let's forget that for a minute. I'd love to see the day that we get back to reasonable conversation, reasonable disagreement. Can you sit down with someone from either side of the aisle and just explain to me why, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you'll understand 5 or 10% of that. My fear is what we've created as a media group, as a society. My fear is that it has really pushed the best and the brightest away from running for office.
Oh yeah.
So we don't have our great thought leaders. Where's the next generation of great thought leaders? Because you don't have people who are lined up who you say, hey, in 2028, it's going to be one of these 4 or 5 people. We have the names, but we don't have this big group of people. They say, hey, 8, 12 years down the road, that's the woman, that's the guy. And that's a little bit of the pride. And that's why sports is our little escape. And it's nice to have a healthy debate on who's the best point guard, who's the best quarterback. And at the end of the day, you walk away and say, well, it'll get settled on the field.
We have to talk about this, and this will be a week or two old when it airs. And I know NBC doesn't do basketball. But my Knicks last night, I mean, wow, what an absolute! And my friend who was at the Garden, I wasn't there. I go to a lot of games. Said he hasn't heard it since Larry Johnson's 4-point play. Has not heard the Garden rock like that.
Well, that's the thing. And I live in Michigan now. We've moved out here. My wife's family's from here. Been here for 25 years. So I consider myself from the Northeast, because you're only from one place, right?
That's
from New York, but I am now a full-fledged Midwesterner. It's almost half my life at this point, and love living out here. But there is still something about a New York crowd, and there's something about the Garden. And to watch even the Rangers through this regular season, the Knicks, the playoff game you referenced, game 2 of that first-round series with Philadelphia, there's nothing like the Garden rocking. So about a month ago, I guess, 3 weeks ago, one thing I had not done is see Billy Joel at the Garden.
Oh,
so I went.
Were you there for the 100th?
Yes, I was there for the concert that CBS aired.
Right.
and it was so cool to be there. And it just brought me back. And my wife, who's from Michigan, I said, I walk in here, I look at the roof of the Garden. Like, this is it for me. When I
This is
got to
it.
broadcast Big East basketball games or Knicks games when I was working at ESPN, right down there at the Garden, that was like the pinch me moment professionally for me, because there is something about that building when you think about every great musician, every
Yeah.
great hockey player, every great basketball player, pretty much for the last 60 years has played under that roof, that same roof on the seventh floor of the building. That's the coolest thing. And there's no
Yeah.
building like that in the
No.
country. So that energy of the Garden, to have that back with the Knicks and Rangers in playoff runs over the last few years, it's great to see. It's great and healthy for both leagues as well.
It is. Let's go back to football. You and Chris make it so easy on Sunday night, and you're so fluid. Take me through your week prep of what gets you there. How does the week break out from a production point of view, from a research point of view, from an interview point of view, starting with Monday?
Yeah, Donnie, I like to tell folks that once the season kicks off, my next off day is the day after our season ends.
Yeah. People think you show up that morning and you have a production meeting and it goes from there. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. And even when they say it's 7 days a week, and I love it. I love the rhythm of the week. So when our game ends on Sunday, we travel back home, and usually by noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, I'll have watched our game back. I want to see how all of our work came together. I want to know that we're doing the right thing for the audience. Did we get too football-y here? Did we not tell enough stories? Did we tell too many stories? Was it a point where Chris and I could have laid back a little bit, let the crowd talk, let's hear the noise that we're talking about? All those things. It's great. You have a feel for it after doing it for 25 years or whatever I've done it for. But to come back and watch how it came through the screen always helps me be better the next week. I'm still in search of the perfect game. So Don Larson's out there somewhere. We keep striving to get there. So Monday, I come back, watch the game. We do a meeting just to kind of introduce the two teams we have coming up and get rolling on that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll spend here in my office at my house going through all the details on the teams, watching their last game or two in a shortcut version, getting up to speed on every storyline, building my chart. Friday, we go see the home
When you say
team.
Building your chart, meaning what?
So I've got a chart in front of me. It's on a screen. I've now gone electronic. I'm very high tech. I have a screen in front of me where I put all the information: name, number, college, height, weight, stats, relevant stats for the player, and then my information that I've gleaned during the week. If it's Mahomes on third down passing completion percentage, a note about Mahomes' 100th start in the NFL, best record, whatever those notes are that we'll bring up during the game, I'll go through and put down on my list as I'm going through the week. And I keep building on that until Sunday morning. That's a constant build. I'll put all my information.
Yeah.
So when the game starts, it's in one place right in front of me. So we do that. Friday, we go see the home team in person, watch them practice. We still do that. Our crew loves to be able to go see the players and coaches in person.
And is there formal access? In other words, is there a negotiation with NBC and the NFL where, okay, the starting quarterback has to talk to you and things like that? What's the protocol?
Not just us, Donnie, but all networks. It's the head coach. We get to talk to the coordinators, the quarterback, and they'll make available a couple of players. And the teams are usually great about it.
Yeah.
Especially when you travel with someone like Chris, who's done this for 3 decades plus and is still Emmy nominee, Emmy winner on a regular basis. I've gotten to know people from my time in the league.
I didn't in my introduction. I didn't do the Mike Tirico Emmy Award winner. So let's get that in there also.
Cares, okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I appreciate it. It doesn't matter. But we love visiting with the players, and I think they love just having a conversation with us too, because we're around the league. We'll talk about other stuff. So we'll take that information and bake that into the broadcast. But they do make them available. That's Friday. Friday night's our team dinner. Saturday, we wait for the road team to get in. We'll watch film together and just put all of our information that we've culled individually, producer, director, our production group, our research group, our editorial group, Chris, me. We'll put all of our stuff together pretty much and get a game plan going for the game. We meet with the visiting team when they travel into town, do our last meeting Saturday night and Sunday morning, do the game Sunday evening, and rinse and repeat, and do that for 17, 18 straight weeks. It's a fun run. It gets exhausting, but it's something we're passionate about, and hopefully that comes through.
You're sitting there and it's rolling around to 8 o'clock and you're doing the intro. Do you pinch yourself every week and go like, holy fuck, here I am. There's one guy that has this job. I would pay to probably do this job and they're paying me a lot of money to do it, you know?
Yeah, I think when I started to do it, when I was doing Monday nights in '06 and through 2015, I think the early part of that was. Now it's just an adrenaline rush. It's fun. You build your whole week to it. Think of everyone who's watching and listening to us who has presentations through work, right? You build towards a presentation that gets done. We build towards Sunday night at 8 o'clock. Almost our entire week is building to those 3.5 hours, right? And the great part is, if you had a good game. Now, somebody may on social media say, hey, they said this, hey, they said that, this wasn't right. By and large, 3.5 hours, if you did what you had set out to do and executed the game plan. And it's fun to get to do that and then to get to start it all over again and start it again. But I do love when we get a chance to kind of get in the booth, look out at the empty stadium and know that in 3 hours, that's going to be full. 70,000 people, average of 21 million people watching at home every week. Nothing gathers America like that.
No.
And it's just fun to be right in the middle of it. It really is.
So this year there's a new colleague as far as big announcers and big analysts and a guy who was a pretty good quarterback for the Patriots. Handicap how you think he's going to be as an analyst?
I think he has a chance to be really, really great. I do. Tom Brady, it's been a pleasure covering him. I was the guy on ESPN who got to announce Tom Brady getting drafted with pick 199 in the draft 24 years ago. As a matter of fact, it was just
amazing.
Last week. So
I got to find that clip. I got to find that clip somewhere.
We laugh all the time, Donny, because it comes up every April 21st or 20th, I think is the date. It comes up. I've got hair. I had a nice suit on that night. I was happy that I like it's sometimes you go back and you see a picture 25 years ago. You go, what the hell was I wearing? Right?
Yeah.
This aged well. But so I've known Tom since his college days at Michigan, all the way through getting drafted and then covering him with the Pats and then the Bucks subsequent to that. And even after that, being in touch from time to time, not very often, but every once in a while. Man, I think he's got so many things to say. And I think he saw the game in such a great way, but he also has a Teflon about him. Like, what are you going to question what Tom Brady says? He's got an opinion that's so strong. Nobody's going to sit there and go, that's wrong.
Yeah.
This guy lived it unlike anybody for 20 plus years and 7 rings. I think if he is, and he's working with Kevin Burkhardt, who's fabulous.
Kevin's good. Kevin did the show. I had Kevin on the show here. He's fantastic.
Kevin's great. Yeah. They've got a good crew. I think Tom's going to be great. I'm excited to hear him do it. I hope he gets a good start, because so often in this business, first impressions are so hard to overcome over time. But I think Tom, here's the one thing I know, Donnie, about Tom. If they had that parking lot for employee of the month, the parking space in the lot for employee of the month, Tom would win it every month of his career. Always first in, always last out, always the hardest worker. So don't be fooling yourself. Tom Brady's going to bring that work ethic to try to be great at this job, and I think he will be.
That's great. Let's talk Olympics. So interesting. Opening and closing ceremonies, a little bit more broader approach to it. Fallon in the closing ceremonies, Peyton Manning in the opening, and I think that's really interesting. I think that's interesting because it's not a sports moment; it's a pop culture moment. It really is. And to me, I saw that, I was like, duh. So to put you guys together with them and Savannah and Hoda and like, that's kind of what it is, You
nailed it, Donnie. That's exactly what it is. And Kelly Clarkson is going to join both Peyton and me for the opening ceremony.
I left her out. Yeah.
Like you said, that's okay. You said Fallon for the closing. That's exactly the approach. I mean, this is Paris. This is going to be a show. It's a party. There is no clock. There is no score being kept. It is not a sports broadcast. It really has value of entertainment, celebration, and why not have two Americans in Kelly Clarkson and Peyton Manning, who people see a lot, they feel really familiar with, and most people love them. They are just popular people, right? I don't know Q scores anymore, but theirs have to be off the charts good, right? And they're smart, curious, and they're both excellent in this medium. You watch Kelly's show, she's
She's great.
great.
Yeah.
She does
Yeah.
great interviews with people. And Peyton, you've seen him commercials, Peyton's Places, the whole NFL thing they do on Monday nights with he and Eli, the Manning cast. Those are two great communicators. So hopefully the three of us there can give you a feel of what this ceremony is like. And if you think about it, Donnie, the last three Olympics have been in Asia. We're in Pyeongchang, South Korea, and then Tokyo, and then Beijing. The last two of those during COVID, no fans in the stands
Yeah.
for the
Different.
most part. So there is a need for the Olympics to just kind of feel refreshed and alive. Paris provides the perfect backdrop, and I think they'll help us kind of bring that to everybody at home.
And the instead of the opening ceremony being walking into the stadium, it's
Right.
going down the same. I mean, I'm trying to picture that. That's going to be insane.
Yes, I'm trying to picture it too. It is going to be crazy. And obviously, it comes with all the concerns that you have of trying to do this massive ceremony at the start of the Olympics in the middle of one of the busiest cities in the world on a river. So you have so many uncontrollables here. But if the French pull it off, it'll be something. It'll be probably the most unique opening ceremony we've seen in the modern games because of the setup and all of that. And for the athletes, it'll be great. Imagine taking a boat ride down the Seine at sunset with the world watching. And that's exactly what it's going to be. So it's a great way to announce that these could be games of celebration and joy, which we need. Because not to get back into politics, but it's not the best time globally right now.
No,
I
it's
was
not.
just over in Paris last week, and every time there's this bit of news or that bit of news out of the Middle East, there's concerns. There's always security concerns around an Olympics. But I think these games have a chance to really give people a reason to remember that the world can come together and celebrate something, which I don't know if we have that right now in our space.
No,
So
we need
we're
it.
we're very hopeful it can be that.
And we're praying to God there's no nonsense there. I mean, as you said, there's so much going. We know what's going on college campuses now, and it's abhorrent and so upsetting. And you just hope that the world stage stays where it should be, which is focused on the athletes, focused on the human stories, and not what's going on with some of the strife that's going on in the world.
It would be great. And we know that's a reality in life, right? And
Yeah.
sports does mirror life. Look at the economics of sports over the years, right? We've seen so many sports and teams cut out the middle class. And that's one of the debates in our country, right? Like, what's happened to the middle class and all of those things, race issues, gender issues, all these things. Sports has always been a place where you can try to keep real life out, but you can't really totally keep it out. So
No.
what's our job? Cover the event. We're there for the event. When the outside issues permeate the event's competition, bring it up. If there's stuff going on around the games, deal with it, discuss it, be honest with your audience. We tried to do that in Beijing and say, look, hey, there are human rights issues here with the Uyghurs, and we discussed that, but we didn't just discuss it for 15 nights, right?
Yeah.
We brought it up at the beginning, brought it up at the middle, brought it at the end. How's the human rights thing playing out? But really cover the games, because people can go to MSNBC or CNN or Fox News for this conversation.
Yeah.
We are there to give them sports while they're playing, so hopefully we can do that, but in an intelligent way where we don't have too many blinders on as we go through it.
There are certain very premier athletes that have already been highlighted. Give me a little handicap on one or two we should keep our eyes on that are not necessarily in the limelight right now, but you're going to be hearing a lot about come July and August.
I can't do that conversation without Simone Biles, because I think it's extraordinarily fascinating, because it's a sport most don't watch on a regular basis in women's gymnastics, although the ratings were very good for women's college gymnastics as a whole. Simone Biles was recognized by everybody in the sport as the best woman gymnast of all time, and then went to the 21 games in Tokyo, 20 games postponed a year for COVID, and had a very disappointing showing. Mm-hmm. Lost her spatiality in the air. It's called the twisties, right? She couldn't find the floor and couldn't land and couldn't do the things that make her special.
Yeah. And then came forward.
And now the question is, do you get back up and try again? Or do you retire on an incredible CV? And she decided to come back into the arena and won the all-around at the World Championships last year. So her story, it could be a remarkable final chapter of a champion going out the way a champion should go out. Donnie, there's there are a couple of intriguing things for me. I want to see how the U.S. swimming team does. We
Mhm.
had Michael Phelps. They set a dominant tone. So uh, will the Caleb Dressels and the Ryan Murphys, the top swimmers in the U.S., along with Katie Ledecky and others, will they be able to keep the U.S. at the top in swimming? I think track and field might have a chance to be the strongest U.S. team and might have the best showing in the second week of the games. And we've got a chance to have the best 100-yard meter runner or the world's fastest man and woman at the same time, which we haven't since 1988. And we speak of Noah Lyles on the men's side and Sha'Carri Richardson on the women's side. Both of them have great talent, great confidence, and really cool personalities. And those two might become even more household names if
Yeah.
they're able to do it under pressure in the 100 meters.
You speak about personalized, that what you guys are so good at and understanding is this is not about sports. This is about human beings. And this is about the human stories and the obstacles and getting people to really understand the humans. And that's the way, as the branding guy, that's the key to a successful Olympics, is telling the human stories.
You know, Dick Ebersol was the great leader of NBC Sports.
I know
for many
Dick well,
years.
sure, yeah.
Yep, and so many of the people who were professionally raised by him are the ones in charge of our Olympic unit, and they are exceptional people, led by our executive producer Molly Solomon. Just an extraordinary task of telling the stories of people, and our Olympic unit takes that to heart. Features, research, the video, the shots, all of that. We tell real life stories for 17 straight nights. We introduce you to people. We watch them compete. We tell you why their lives are unique and significant. And for most of them, this is their moment. It's not like Peyton Manning, where they lost to the Colts, they lost to the Patriots, but the Colts can come back the next year or the next year, right? For most, you get one shot to be a gold medalist. And so many people sacrifice to get you there. And it starts with mom and dad driving you to
Parents
practice.
every morning.
Goes to coaches, goes to high school, goes to wherever you went to college, wherever you've trained, all of that. And they all have great stories. And one's better than the next is better than the next. So part of our job during the Olympics is to tell you why these people are athletes you should care about, tell their story the right way. And I think that's a responsibility all of us feel. We have a responsibility to tell America about you and hopefully care about you, root for you, and then share in your joy. And that's what we do when we watch the Olympics. When Team USA wins, we as Americans feel better. We share in their joy. And think about it, Donny. For the most part, they're people you've never seen compete before.
No.
Maybe you've seen them compete a few times. You're never going to meet them, yet they can get you out of your chair and jumping and cheering and crying. That's the power of the Olympics and the Olympic athletes. And I love the honor that we all have as a team to share their stories.
We're living through a moment in time. So you mentioned Molly as the EP. Very matter of fact that there's a woman EPing the Olympics. And we just went through Caitlin Clark. And you feel it's a moment in time when women's sports are finally, and I don't even have to go through the numbers that, her final outrated every college basketball, every NBA game in the last 5 years. It is a real moment in time. You feel it.
All the way across the board. Most of the higher percentage of the medals for Team USA are won by the women of Team USA. Strength in women's basketball, obviously gymnastics, swimming with all the Katie Ledecky and the rest have done over the years. You can go on and on. The women's soccer team going back to 1999. One of my dearest and closest friends is Julie Foudy, and what their group did, Julie and Mia Hamm and that whole group, Brandy Chastain in 99, really was that launch point for women's
I can't believe that was 25 years ago.
Celebrate their 25-year anniversary, right? I don't remind them of that, but it is their 25th. But Donnie, I go back 20 some odd years before that to Title IX. Title IX and the ability to create opportunities for women in athletics has changed the scope of women's sports in America, and we benefited for it in our house. My wife played college basketball at Syracuse, and in the late '80s. Right. So she was an example of that real first generation that 17, 18, 19 years removed from Title IX being passed had the chance to build on something. And now generations have grown. So as more women have risen in corporate America and are the breadwinners and are the leaders as CFOs, CEO, all the C-suite areas, they now have the power of decision, but
Mhm.
also have the volume of viewership because they've played college sports or high school sports or sports all the way through 7th, 8th grade and then decided to do something else. Whatever it is, they've built that love of sports and what sports and competition can do for the entirety of your life. So I think both of those things together just rose the boat, if you will. And then Caitlin Clark was the comet coming across the sky that will continue to grow all of women's sports. The next step, and I think from a business standpoint, the fascinating step now is, what does it do to the WNBA?
Yeah.
Does the WNBA in valuation increase because people now are going to pay attention to it?
Without
Fascinating
question.
year to watch how that
is.
plays out, because it could be a growth spurt that the rest of women's sports will continue
They have to take a page from the NBA and from the Olympics. The NBA was the first league that we sell the players first. We don't sell the sport, we sell the players. Now you have, as you said, you have that comet surrounded with 4 or 5 more, sell the players, and the league will follow.
Donnie, what most people don't realize is that the U.S. women's national team has won 7 straight gold medals in basketball.
I didn't know that.
They are going for an 8th, which would be an all-time record for any team in any sport in the history of the Olympics. So stars like Diana Taurasi, still in the WNBA, still playing on the U.S. women's national team. Diana's going to be going, I think, for her 6th gold, 5th or 6th gold medal. Sue Bird just retired. She had a great run of winning gold with Team USA. So you're right. The NBA's magic, and the late David Stern was the magician of it. It was Michael Jordan and the Bulls against Patrick Ewing and the Knicks.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What about Scottie Pippen and what about Charles Oakley or John? No, it was the star and the team. And now if the WNBA becomes Caitlin Clark and Indiana against Angel Reese, against Cameron Brink and the LA Sparks, if that becomes the next step of this and the people follow from college to the pros, then you're going to really have something.
So we got, in a couple of days, we got the Derby coming up. Is it the 150th running, I think? To handicap the thing, I'm not a big horse racing guy, so help me out here.
Don't worry about the handicapping part. Here's the question. Have you been to the Derby?
I hear it's like the greatest event to go to. I hear it is
Donnie,
like, yeah.
You have to go. You can go through the horses and all the stories, and it's a sport that's had its challenges over the last few years. I would say nothing does party and celebration like the Derby. And let me come back into your backyard, branding, right? This is way before I got there. But what NBC has done with the Derby, I think, has changed the branding of the Derby. Now you have every golf club, country club, group, they have their Derby parties, right? And most of the people having Kentucky Derby parties have never been, don't know
anything about horse racing. Yeah.
Don't know anything about the race, right? But it's the joy of the event. So it also is a one sight snapshot of America. You can have people go to the infield, have a great time, have a bunch of drinks, a burger, a hot dog, or you can have people in Millionaires Row sitting with the best of food, the best of champagne, and the best of clothing, and they both enjoy the Derby experience. It's a sport that once defined America, once was our biggest sport along with boxing. It's not anymore, but the Derby has become an event and a treat. It's the only show that I work, Donnie, that we have a fashion analyst that we bring in on the show. We make a mint julep on the air. We have a cooking segment. It's not really sports, but it's what sports is all about. It brings in everyone. And it's a fun day, so hopefully people can watch us on NBC on the first Saturday in May. But you need to put that on your bucket list.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
You'll have the time of your life.
Well, you're hosting it for the 4th time. That's this Saturday. What time is it? Let's get the time down.
We go on the air at we go on the air, I think, at 2:30, and we're on until about 7:30.
7:30. All right.
Five races, but the 5 hours go by fast. I promise.
Love it, Mike. What a privilege to talk to you. You've been very generous with your time. I continue to just be a big fan. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it, man.
Always a fan. Great to see you, Donnie. Glad we share Queens roots. I knew there was a real good reason that I enjoyed you so much, and let's do it again soon.
Is it the Bayside Commodores? Do I have that right?
Bayside Commodores.
Commodores.
You got it, man.
I got that. Oh my God. I don't know how I pulled that out.
It's all up there somewhere, right? Well done.
Stay well, my friend.
Thank you, Donny. You too.
Everybody, thanks for watching. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. And we love having you here watching On Brand. And just don't miss any future episodes. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.